about Indonesia, and we're talking about comparative advantage that Indonesia has, and supposedly how we can sustain and how we can create value out of this primary commodity that we have. See if we can have this connected so you can follow me rather easily. Indonesia, a country of 237 million people, undergo, like been told by the director of SEAS here, that after reformasi, actually we've been through so much, and hopefully for the better, and apparently it looks like it's going to be a better one. Indonesia woke up one morning. We are the 18th largest economy in the world. Our GDP right now around 800 billion US dollars, growing at 6% a year. And what are we doing? What are we doing to develop? What are we doing to develop the economy? To be honest with you, not yet. The infrastructure is not there yet. And sometimes what happens if infrastructure is not there yet is that the economy can get very heating up so fast that we have to adjust the interest rate. And our interest rate now stands at 6.5%, where most countries in the world, especially leading economy, probably going towards zero. Therefore, you know, it's a challenge, but still, Indonesia is still growing at 6%. If it's going to be like this, Indonesian economy and Japanese economy will interact, or the equilibrium will create about the same size of economy by 2020. Let me give you some examples about what do we have in the country as primary commodity. Indonesia is the largest producer of sustainable oil, come from crude palm oil. We are producing around 19 million ton in 2008, and actually going above 20 million in 2009. And we did overtook Malaysia in 2007. We are ranked number 2 in tin. We produce around 65,000 ton. And we are number 2 in cocoa. We produce around 770,000 tons. We are number 2 in copper. We produce around 818,000 tons. We are number 5th in nickel. We are number 7 in gold, and the price of gold right now never been this high before in the history of human life, closer to $1,500 an ounce. And also we are number 8 with official count that 178 million tons of coal, and about 25% of this amount went to Japan in the year of 2009. This is the study that been done by ADB, and I apologize, this is in Indonesians. But as the chairman of the Board of Investment, one day I attended the ASEAN Economic Minister meeting, and Asian Development Bank made a study, and this is in the middle of the afternoon, about 2 o'clock, and it was very sleepy, and they said that country that sells only basic commodities vis-a-vis Indonesia will not create prosperity for the people. Basically saying that, hey, Chairman of Board of Investment, you're not doing so well if you're not producing a downstream industry out of these basic commodities. So let me show you what kind of commodities, the clumsiness of the government, the clumsiness of technology, and maybe also clumsiness, all the unfortunate things that is happening in Indonesia. Let me show you some commodities that are to be discussed here, and hopefully this can be a good major base of discussions for this mid-morning, and especially for somebody that flew 7 hours without sleep last night. The production of cocoa, we are actually only second in the world after Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken, or Ivory Coast. We produce about 770,000 tons. Yes, 200,000 tons has been eaten by the disease that we don't know yet how to solve it. And this is mainly in the island of Sulawesi. And I know that some of Indonesian students here come from Sulawesi. And so we have a net growth of 570,000 tons. Our domestic consumption is 130,000 tons. So where are the rest? We export 440,000 tons. USA, being the last resort of buyers. That means if we send to the USA our cocoa beans, it arrives in New York probably after 29 days of sailing. It comes with rocks, it comes with sticks, it comes with wood, it comes with disease. The US will buy it anyway. And they put just a discount on the products, but they did buy it and they will be still buying it. In fact, the United States is very dependent on Indonesian cocoa because Indonesian cocoa is one of the cocoa in the world is not fermented. So basically, they harvest, they have some small drying, and they send it out. And phenol, this is something come from cocoa beans, which is found to be very good for your heart, comes for unfermented cocoa beans. So this is as an extra. And if you also eat M&M chocolates, M&M chocolates only can be done through Sulawesi cocoa. It gives a distinct taste at M&M chocolate. So keep eating that, and people from Sulawesi will be happy. By the way, it costs around $1,200 a ton these days. The one that bothers me, ladies and gentlemen, is Malaysia. If you look at Malaysia, they imported, or Indonesia exported, 42% out of 440,000 tons to Malaysia. So basically, 200 tons of Indonesian cocoa has been sold to Malaysia. Why? In 2004, the Director General of Tax issued a policy that for cocoa beans needs to be put a VAT, a value-added tax of 10% for local industry to purchase. That means Indonesian industry will pay 10% more compared to Malaysian import. Our cocoa went away, poof, like that to Malaysia. If you know, some of you know that some chocolates come from Bandung, messes, and some, for breads that we grew up with. It's not made in Bandung. It's not made in Bandung anymore. It's made in Malaysia, about 70 kilometers from the city of Kuala Lumpur. That is because our clumsiness in our policy. We changed that since 2007, and the industry is coming back. Then the comparative advantage of Indonesian cocoa is there. And M&M, chocolate M&M, developed and at least put $17 million in 2010 alone in order to fight the cocoa pores of the disease of this cocoa. And this is the value added. If you sell cocoa bean, the value added is 1, supposedly par at 1. You change it to cocoa butter, an investment around $7 million, the multiple is 3 times. If you put another $10 million and change it to chocolate bar, where you buy at 7-Elevens or convenience store, the multiplications is 19. You still want to buy, or you still want to buy or want to sell cocoa beans? Scientists, it's not reasonable. Second, Indonesia is one of the largest seller of bauxite. You know bauxite? Bauxite is a feedstock for aluminium. And aluminium right now is in high demand because everything, trendy, everything is technological, has to come from aluminium. So if you look at an iron cast engine frame, it's not there, it's not the trend anymore. It has to be aluminum. So it is lighter, it is eco-friendly because it consumes less fuel. So what happened with Indonesian bauxite? We sold one of our bauxite to our Japanese trading partner. It's a whole island called island of Kijang near Riau. What happened to it now? It almost sunk. Almost. I mean, it's not inhabitable anymore because it's been taken and it's been sold raw for that technology. But it's okay. We still have a lot of it. We have a lot of big reserve in West Kalimantan. Actually, U.S. Alcohol, before developing the Western Australia alumina reserve, was looking at this site for a long, long time. But they decided they didn't want to invest there. So we have a large amount of bauxite right now. And if you look at the pricing of bauxite, if you sell it bauxite right now, the current price is around $17 to $25. If you put $400 million investment, it becomes alumina, it's around $350 a ton. And if you put another $1 billion, $1.5 billion, the price of aluminum right now is around $2,500 a ton. So this is the multiplications. Bauxite, 1. You sell it to alumina, is 8 times. You sell it for aluminum, it's 30 times. You still want to sell it as bauxite, and now the island is sinking, it's your choice, scientists, your pick. And then also gas, our gas. We have right now producing around 2.4 million barrel oil and gas per day, barrel per day. For gas, right now it's a split 50-50. We sell in consumptions for international. Basically, we have around 7.5 million MMSCFD. Basically, this is a measurement of TUs. And then half of it will be for domestic, around 3.4, and for export is 4.1 million. 4.1 million ton, basically. And around 54% is for export and 45% for domestic. Out of the 53%, of the 54%, about 80% is going to Japan. Is that bad? Of course it's not. The price is very good. Japanese importer, Korean importer, and Taiwanese importer buying Indonesian gas for the price around $15 a spot right now. Very good price. Is it a good price if you convert this to be in the national interest? Let me show you the multiplications. If you sell raw the gas, worth nothing. But if you convert that to power plant, actually the conversion is 1.48. If you convert this to be a fertilizer, then the fertilizer is being used for agriculture. The multiplications is 2.6. But if you change it to steel industry, the multiplications is 7.5. Do we have enough energy for Indonesia? We do. We have from geothermal. We have from what we call now is coal bed methane, which is very prospectable to be explored, and we are thinking to be the energy of the world is coming from Indonesia, mainly in the island of Kalimantan. This is the last part, and this is the one that I love to hear discussions about this, the forestry. I told everybody that orangutan is important, but orang beneran is more important. To those of you that don't understand, orangutan, this is the chimpanzee likes of Indonesian or Borneo native monkey. It's important. But orang beneran is human. Orangutan is orang come from hutan. Orang that came from forest. But the real human is more important. And before we adopt, and this is my personal opinion, and I think this is still in the negotiations in the Indonesian Parliament before we adopt this. Indonesia has around 140 million virgin forests. This is something that's untouched. But, well, actually 20 million of it by the year of 2004 had been used for development. Some of it went to countries like the United States and Japan for its forestry products. For plantations, what we call it industrial plantations for timber, around 3 million hectares. I wrote a letter before I left the government last year. I told the president that we have to do another 20 million for industrial reforestations. Means that this is timber that is seeds grown, cut again for industrializations. Can we do that? Can we? Of course we can. Do you know in Finland, this is the one of the most efficient country in the world to grow a 60 centimeters of tree, about year big, takes 60 years. It's a pine tree. Do you know how long does it take for forest or for a tree to grow like this in Indonesia, mainly in Papua? 6 years. That means, true, this is a short fiber. It's come from Sengma, short fiber, and pine tree is a long fiber. It's different. There's a price difference too in the pricing, it's true. But 6 years compared to 60 years is like playing soccer once against 10. Indonesian soccer is growing very well right now, so it's not fair to compare with other teams. But if I have one Nakata from Japan, and I have 10 people from Indonesia playing soccer together, it doesn't matter what they said. If Nakata is so good and play for Fiorentina, Indonesia will survive and win the competitions. So therefore, I said, look, this is the calculations. Our capacity for pulp industry, currently right now, around 6.7 million ton. Our production capacity is around 5.7, that means some are selling as raw material. Employment per hectare is 1.2% per hectare, and total employment out of the 6.7 million tons is around 2.5 million people are basically lives out of this forest industry. This is the plan that I sent. Of course, this is not set in stone. You know, if we do this, our capacity will be triple to around 18 million tons. Our productions also will be triple, more than triple, to 16 million tons. We create around 3.6 million people working, and also the total employment is around 16.6 million people, and the value chains from 3.2 billion today to around 9.6 billion whenever we finish to do the reforestations. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one that probably Professor Yoshikawa and I share the great passions. A good commodity without a good energy, that means power, cannot survive. It has to go hand in hand altogether. Japan, with 127 million people, have 250 gigawatts of power. Indonesia, with 237 million people, only have around 30,000 megawatts. You know what does that mean? That means per capita in Indonesia is around 128 watts per capita. In Java, slightly better, 170 watts per capita. In Sumatra, with 42 million people, around 95 watts per capita. But in Eastern Indonesia, Professor, it includes Borneo, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and all the way to the east, is around 60 watts per capita. Do you know what that means, 60 watts per capita? It's a bulb per capita. Where's Arman? Oh, outside. Where's Arman coming from? Siapa yang dari Sulawesi? Who's from Sulawesi? Dari mana? Yang pakai tag merah. Where in Sulawesi? Dari Makassar. So, this guy from Makassar has an average of about 60 watts per capita. That means a bulb per capita. What does that mean? That means a household of 5 people has 300 watts in a household. That means one bulb at the terrace. So the thief or somebody that tried to bother saw, oh, there's somebody inside. One in the living room, one in each rooms of bedrooms, one in the bathroom. Dangerous. If there's no light in the bathroom, you may litter somewhere else that you're not supposed to be. One in the kitchen. You want to see what you cook. One for televisions, and one for refrigerators that does not plug to the socket. Do you know why there's no electricity? Do you know what's refrigerator without electricity plug? It's a cupboard. They put clothes in it. Begitukah di Sulawesi? I asked, is it like that in Sulawesi? Well, in Makassar maybe not, but in Pindrang maybe, in Boni maybe it's like that. So it doesn't stop. I mean, but they wanna show that they have a refrigerators, and these people make a lot of money because they sell cocoa. I told you, cocoa beans right now cost around $1,300 per ton. So they have money, but they're not included in the production cycle of industry. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot do the development process in India where they make power plant for 6,000 megawatts. We cannot do the development program of electricity in China where they have it for 4,000 megawatts each sample. We need around 142 points in eastern Indonesia to develop between 5 to 15 megawatts power plant. Cannot come from coal. It has to come from gas, because that's the easiest way how to fuel this power plant. Have anybody heard about what they did in Ambon? I've been telling this to a lot of people. Anybody heard about what I said about development of fishery in Ambon? Okay. Professor, let me tell you one story before I close. Okay. City of Ambon is a very, very prosperous city actually, and it sits in the mouth of the Arafuru Sea. If you look from Google Map, can we have the Google Map? Oh, probably we can't. I didn't put it in my presentations. But if you look Indonesia from the Google Maps, in Laut Arafuru there is a tide. You can see it from the satellites. It's almost a semicircle. And the argument says that tuna fish, if they went to that sea, will go around in average of 3.4 years because of the tide. It just encircles. And that sea is forbidden for international fisheries unless they have special license from the Ministry of Fisheries to be fished. So actually the tuna there died of old ages like human, not overfishing. So I look, why is that? I look at the numbers of the export of fisheries and fisheries products. Indonesia around $540 million. You go to General Santos, around 2 billion in the Philippines. If you go to Thailand, it's around 4 billion, the export numbers of fish and fish products. Indonesia is 540 millions. We have more than 5.8 million square kilometers of sea. We produce about 1/8 of Thailand. So I checked in Ambon. What happened? They said that, the fishermen in Ambon only can sail for 4 hours. And they have to go back after that, 4 hours. So basically they have to go to the sea and come back in 8 hours. They cannot sail more than 8 hours. I said, why? Well, one, because of the capital. It costs a lot to go for the fuel to go fishing. But the most important part was, if they go more than 8 hours, the fish will become spoiled. So I go like, why? Because there's no ice. Investment in ice factory is very cheap. $500,000, you have state-of-the-art of ice factory. I said, yeah, that's a problem, Mr. Chairman. Why is that? Because the electricity in city of Ambon only goes about 8 hours a day. So I went and looked and checked. 8 hours a day, what happened? It's a Siemens turbine, fuel turbine, Siemens made from Germany in 1968. I was born in 1969. This thing's older than me. It's like an antique. So the power plants only can move, the availability factor is only 8 hours a day. So a third of 24 hours. And do you know what happened with the ice factory if there's only 8 hours a day? The ice will be vaporized. It melts, so it doesn't work. Therefore, my fishermen in Ambon cannot be competitive internationally. So, therefore, scientists, I need you to find solutions for this. especially from this last one that I want to show you. This is the number of Indonesian export in general. I want to take this 2006 numbers because it's rounded up. That oil from other than, what do you call it? This is a NODEX, non-oil export numbers from Indonesia. We export around $100 billion in 2006. Okay, 21%, or roughly around $21 billion from oil and gas. Out of from the 80% of that, it comes from basic minerals. It's around 20%. So if you add the oil and gas plus the from basic commodities, it's actually about 40%. 60% is for services and probably from other industry, including agriculture. I would say around 50% of Indonesian economy is coming from basic commodities. And what they said about the Asian Development Bank says about the study, that if you sell only basic commodities, you're not creating prosperity. And therefore, I challenge you, as I promised my opening remarks, that I want to see seeds that can change, and innovations that can change, and also breakthrough that can change for sustainable. Sustainable here means a sustainable development for economic growth that will create a prosperity. Because with prosperity, we can do, or we can think a lot for our future generations and our well-being. Therefore, scientists, professors, ladies and gentlemen, this is the challenge upon us. How to create growth in order to create a very sensitive, environmental friendly that we can live in our only world. Therefore, now I challenge you once again to find that seeds, and my professor told me to create some money so scientists will become useful for everybody. I thank you.